Hello. I want to talk about living in the present moment and how it relates to both you and your dog. It's a very interesting concept, living in the present moment. Now let's think of our dogs. Our dogs are living in the present moment every single minute of their life. That's because they don't have any idea of the concept of time or the past or the future. It's also very restrictive because they don't have any choice. They are simply living in the present moment, and they're reliant on us, the humans, to provide everything that they need on a daily basis in order to promote their emotional satisfaction and their fulfillment with their life. Now, with dogs being in the present moment, it is restrictive in that sense, but it's also very freeing for your dog because they are aware of their environment. They are engaged in their environment every single minute of the day, of their life. And so we're talking about the senses, their sense of smell, they sniff the air, their sense of sight, they're always keenly looking out for something. Their hearing, they can hear things that we can't even begin to fathom. They're very aware of their environment. Now look at humans. Living in the present moment, when I say that phrase to some people, to many humans, to the majority of humans, they don't know what I'm talking about. They don't understand or have an idea of the concept of living in the present moment, truly what that is. And so on the flip side of dogs, for them being restrictive in those terms with relation to their ability to choose within their life what they get to do, what they really don't want to have to do. With humans, living in the present moment can and is a freeing experience because we are freeing ourselves from our human conditioned mindset and all of the emotions that are attached to that. Our belief systems, what we don't like, what we judge, what we look down upon, what we love and therefore are attached to. So being in the present moment and living in the present moment for humans frees us. And this also in turn ends up freeing our dogs, and I'll touch on that shortly. Living in the present moment is also a very simple thing to do. And it's if I could give you an example of you living in the present moment but not being aware of it, and this use of the present moment is not productive from the human point of view or your dog's point of view, but scrolling on social media, before you know it, you've been scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling on your phone, and you look up and an hour has passed. But you've been in that present moment, scrolling through your Facebook and your social media. But just imagine being in the present and living in the present moment with nothing to do every single minute of the day. This is your dog's life. This is what I'm talking about when I mention the word restrictive. So with respect to living in the present moment, we're also brought into an alive sense of an awareness of our surroundings. And that also means we see the reality of a situation for what it is. We are not contrasting or superimposing our human conditioned mindset over that to taint it, if you like. So in that respect, when we're living in the present moment, we are in a state of mind of acceptance. We're not blaming or judging our dog for their undesirable behaviour, and that means we can then act in a conscious way, in an easy way, and one in a way that helps us to see answers in that situation when we're just simply wanting to redirect some undesirable behaviour that our dog might be performing into something that is desirable from your point of view and that you can reward your dog for. And then, of course, that reward that you're providing for your dog provides you with a reconnected feeling to your dog as well, and you feel joy, warmth, compassion and empathy, not just because you're rewarding your dog, because you've put yourself in that present moment, which is reconnecting with your dog. So when we're talking about reconnecting with our dogs, it's a really good idea to just do that when it's very easy to do. So in this situation, I can reconnect with Morty very readily because he's being a dog, he's doing his thing. That provides me with a moment where I'm aware in that moment of him gaining emotional satisfaction from performing a behaviour that a dog likes to do and that a dog needs to do every day in order to feel emotional satisfaction. So when you reconnect with your dog during easy moments, in those peaceful moments, and reconnection provides you with an inner peace as well, that's a fundamental factor of reconnection itself. When you're reconnected in those easy moments, then it makes it easier to reconnect with your dog in those more challenging moments when, say, for example, Morty might leap up and have a really bellowing loud bark running to the front door because the postman's arrived. That can cause me to get a little bit, sort of have a startled response. And can you imagine if somebody jumps out at a doorway and scares you, what's the first thing you might do? Yell at that person and get angry. So you're redirecting your aggression for that in that moment to the person who played that prank on you. So it's a similar sort of thing. So in those sorts of moments where it can be challenging, your first reaction might be to yell out to your dog or get cranky or then think, oh, now I've got to get up and get my dog because they've run all the way to the front door. When you're reconnected with your dog, that actually helps you to see the reality of the situation, and you could have actually planned for that. You could have planned ahead. You could have actually provided your dog with something nice to do at a safe distance where the sound of the postman coming past wasn't so stimulating for your dog. Or your dog might have actually leapt up to perform that behaviour because they were bored and they were looking for something to do. So they need mental stimulation, and so dogs are going to do what dogs do. So when you are reconnected with your dog in those easy moments, you can then find the ability to reconnect with the dog in those more challenging moments, and then extend the time period of that reconnection that you're feeling with your dog to be longer periods of time. And so that takes practice, but make it easier for yourself and just reconnect with your dog in any way that's meaningful for you in any situation. Because it's not just our suffering with respect to our dog's undesirable behaviour that's being caused, like us getting angry or suffering in that way, even though it's a very superficial way to suffer. We can still get angry, we can still abuse our dog, slapping them or hitting them, and that happened with the dog when I was walking Morty home at the end of the street. Two lovely dogs, big German Shepherd and another Labradoodle type dog. The shepherd was barking and wasn't listening to the owner, and the owner was just yelling at the dog in a really gruff voice and just hitting the dog. And so that woman is not reconnected to her dog and unfortunately will not experience the joy, that lived experience of truly reconnecting with her dog and coming out of her human condition mindset. So when we are reconnected with our dogs, it basically means that we're acting in a conscious way. That means we are going to reduce our suffering, and we are going to reduce the potential suffering of our dogs through our own actions of judging, blaming, neglecting, abandoning, abusing, surrendering our dogs to shelters. We are not going to be doing that. So I hope that the information and the simple concept of living in the present moment is something that you can see value in, and that you'll start practicing with your dog right now and every single day. And it's through that shift into consciousness that we will start to see a global change and an elevation in our collective consciousness, where we are then going to reduce the suffering of not just humans, but every animal species on the planet, simply because we're acting consciously. We'll talk again soon.